Blueprints is one of the most complexly layered secret puzzle experiences ever made. Among the multitude of puzzles found in this game, this one is among my personal favorite. It concerns what has been dubbed by the community the Castle Cipher. It also effectively bridges the gap between the mid-game and the late-game layers of Blueprints. Today we're going to solve the entirety of it, so if you've discovered this one but are stumped on what to do to solve it, then this video will help. There will obviously be spoilers, but I've divided the video into chapters so you can skip around to the ones that you need to watch, and before I drop any huge spoilers, I will pause to give you a little bit of time to skip to the next chapter if you need to. Anyway, I'm Fury, and before we get into anything, for general hints on how to proceed, if you just want to know where to look to find some information that might give you a direction, there are multiple rooms in and out of the manor containing a similar lettering format to this, which can be used in conjunction with this one. There are also a couple blue tents memos that contain very strong leads for what you'll have to do, so I highly recommend unlocking the blue tents before proceeding with this. In addition to this, there is important information you can obtain inside a classroom or two during a school run, and at least one room description in the directory also contains a hint. To narrow it down a little bit, I'll tell you it's one of the first 46 blue rooms. This hint, along with the ones obtained in school, have to do with understanding what certain words might be referring to. And those are all the general hints I'll give you. With this information, you should be able to work your way through the entire puzzle. This is one of the more difficult ones, however, being very close to end game, so if you still need help solving anything, watch on. Alright, let's begin. From the beginning, how do we even reach the area that the Castle Cipher is found in? Well, we need to first light the 4 flames. This is really early game stuff, so if you already know how to do this, then you can safely skip to the next chapter. But I just wanted to cover this real quick because I never have. Because it's so early game, I'm just going to go right into it and show you where the 4 flames are located. The first one, obviously, is inside the orchard that you can unlock outside. The second one is in another permanent addition, the Gemstone Cavern. Once you unlock the West Path and the ability to draft an outer room, 2 of those outer rooms contain the next 2 blue flames. The first one in Denny Ravain's hovel. And the final one inside the schoolhouse, of all places, situated directly in the center of the room. But hey, who am I to judge? Now, children, don't play with the fire. Anyway, when all 4 flames are finally lit outside, the camera slowly pans back as a very curious elevator rises out of the platform. Doors swinging open invitingly, which we can then enter and ride down into the cliff face in order to access the precipice. Deep into this scenic tunnel, we turn right to find ourselves in a very interesting chamber. Ooh. The chess puzzle. Remember all those giant chess pieces you've been seeing all around the house? What do you think you have to do here? Anyway, now I'll pause the video just to let you guys solve that for yourselves if you want to, but in a few seconds, I'm gonna go ahead and show you my notes where I've taken screenshots of every single chess piece location. And those locations are, for the pawns, the bedroom, the guest bedroom, nursery, den, storeroom, dining room, drawing room, freezer, parlor, bunk room, drafting studio, walk-in closet, solarium, dormitory, lost and found, and the secret passage. For the knights, the observatory, security, treasure trove, and the armory, which I don't have a screenshot of right now, unfortunately. For the bishops, the chapel, the rumpus room, the attic, and the bookshop. For the rooks, the nook, the conservatory, the vault, and the clock tower. For the queens, the study and her ladyship's chamber. And for the kings, the office and the throne room. Now that I've shown you the locations of all the chess pieces, I'm going to do another quick pause, so you can pause the video if you need to, if you want to solve this for yourselves. And then in 3, 2, 1... Alright, solving the chess puzzle itself is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is just have one room in your house with a pawn in it. You'll probably have a bunch. One room with a knight, one with a rook, one with a bishop, one with a queen, and one with a king. The queen and the king are obviously the most difficult ones here because there are only 2 rooms with queens in them, the study and her ladyship's chambers, and there are only 2 rooms with kings in them, the office and the throne room. But once you have each of those rooms in your house, it's just a matter of realizing that this chessboard actually represents the blueprint of the manor. So you just place each piece on the board in the location that corresponds to its room in the house. As soon as you do this, the camera pans back as the walls slide open, revealing 6 alcoves containing even larger chess pieces. Each of these is a new permanent power that you can pick. Ambition of the Pawn. When you reach rank 8 each day, you may choose Knight, Bishop, Rook, or Queen. Gain the power of that piece until the end of the day. This one's actually my second favorite, just because it allows you to pick and choose the other powers that you might want. All of them, except for the king. Mantle of the Knight. Add the Armory to the draft pool. This is a unique room that you can only find in this way. So at some point, you're definitely going to want to pick either the Mantle of the Knight or the Ambition of the Pawn, so you can get it that way. Gambit of the Queen. Each time you draft a room on the queen side, the west wing, lose 5 steps and gain 1 key. Personally, I never once used this power, even with the Ambition of the Pawn. There are other ways that are less volatile to gain keys, including triggering the radiation failsafe with the shelter. Banner of the King. Each day you may choose a color. Rooms of the chosen color are more likely to be drawn while drafting. This one is incredibly useful, and it's actually my personal favorite. Piety of the Bishop. You do not have to pay tithes. Instead, gain 30 coins the first time you enter the chapel each day with this power. And finally, Resilience of the Rook. You may draw floor plans up to 4 times when drafting the 4 corner rooms of your house, which can obviously be very useful for when you need a very specific room in your house. Again, you can choose this power using the pawn power, which is the power that I used in the early game as soon as I solved this puzzle. Keep in mind that you're not stuck with your choice. You can complete the chess puzzle on future days in order to choose a new power. Anyway, moving on. In this chamber, there also happens to be this rather curious cracked wall. Over in the safe house, you can even find this scrap of paper tucked away in a corner with a drawing of this. Obviously, it must be something, so what do we do when we want to knock down a wall?
Not yet.
No, we make the power hammer, with the sledgehammer, the battery pack, and the broken lever in the workshop. Taking the power hammer to the chess puzzle chamber does allow us to smash this wall. On the other side, at last, we find Castle. C-A-S-S-T-, L-, and E-. Okay. And this is actually where a lot of people just get stuck. I mean, it's obviously something, but other than spelling out castle, it doesn't really spell out for you anything else that you might have to do. Well, remember when I said in the beginning of the video that there are other areas in the game that contain letters in this format? Now let's go find those. The first of these can be found inside the kennel, and I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about just by saying that. The next can be found inside the cloister. However, it requires you to learn how to access the central grassy area. Your hint for where to find this information is, it's inside a particular green room that is concerned with the unusual. Yes, the solarium. Inside here, you'll find a handwritten note written by Bridget to Mr. Nagula, the new groundskeeper. And on the drawing beneath this note, while face to face with the angel, press the base of the 2 pillars on either side of you. Re-entering the cloister and following those directions, the center of the wall lowers, allowing you access. If this is your first time in here, you'll find an allowance token behind the angel statue. And, of course, this set of curious characters. We'll find the next set of letters inside of Blackbridge Grotto, masquerading as binary. There are obviously a lot of locked lockers in the locker room, some containing tools, some containing gems, some containing coins, some containing whatever this is. But it's actually this piece of a student's mathematics worksheet that we are interested in. 6 or O. Now, there are actually more letters hidden in this format inside the vault. inside one of the safety deposit boxes, somewhere on the contents of one of these safety deposit boxes. Those contents being your mother's Samantha Hayes passport. ID up in the top right corner. Are you serious? This one's a little bit cheeky. And now the final set of letters can also go unnoticed for a very long time. They're actually inside the secret passage. If you're very perceptive, you might be able to notice what looks like writing on the back of the bookcase in the secret passage. Usually after you draft the secret passage, you immediately open it. But if you don't immediately open it and you go around the back, then you'll have a much easier time reading the letters D-O-O-R. Door. Thanks. Alright, now that we have all of the letters, by placing them where they belong, the full message reads 6 add 6 tor lore et. Okay, but what does that mean? Well, if you want to try to solve it for yourselves, remember in the beginning of the video when I mentioned those general hint locations. Anyway, CIX is actually Roman numerals for 109. Add is obviously addition. 6, the number 6. So we then add these two numbers together to get 115. But what about tor lore et? Those are obviously not English words. To find out the meaning of the first one, a very easy hint can be found in the description for the rotunda, a circular chamber with a domed ceiling adorned with an array of mechanical gears. In the center of the room, a stone podium serves as a central pivot point for the chamber's true purpose, rotation. A fitting function for a room named rotunda, which means clockwise room in Eurasian. Tor lore et are Eurasian words. And in the rules of Eurasian, reversing rot to make tor flips the meaning from clockwise to counterclockwise. Another hint can be found on this map in the grade 4 classroom. In the lower right corner, you'll see rot. And next to the 46, tor with the arrows pointing counterclockwise. The rules for Eurasian language can of course be learned in the grade 8 language class. And as we can see on the top of this word list in that same classroom, lore means word. But what about et? Well, going back to those maps in grade 4 geography class, we can see that one is labeled the or sphere and the other is labeled the et sphere. So the full meaning of this word list is then 109 plus 6, 115, counterclockwise, word east. You might be thinking, alright, that means absolutely nothing to me. Don't worry about that though. We'll come back to this. Let's move on for now to the next part of this puzzle. As for the blue memos themselves, there are two in particular that give you very good hints as to what you need to do. The first one is one of the memos of many that can be found inside of the locked trunk in the treasure trove, which reads, "The power must shift to perform the ritual of castling." Power. The next big hint comes from the blue tents when drafting the Nook on the 8th rank of the estate. The Rook can perform a special move with another piece. We're inside of a chamber containing a sort of chessboard.
As far as I know, it's still legal even to castle with both hands.
Which is a puzzle
Castling only involves king.
that, when solved,
Castling is a unique move.
allows us to obtain a chess-related power. Wait a minute. Yeah, so you have to actually perform a castle inside the game itself using the two powers, the Rook and then the King. So in order to perform this, you're gonna have to solve the chess puzzle at least one more time. If you already have the Rook power, lucky you. If not, go ahead and solve the chess puzzle, pick the Rook power, and then the next day, or as soon as you can, solve the chess puzzle one more time and pick the King power. The moment you do so, ominous music begins to play. The other four walls slide shut, and the King and Rook slowly exchange places. After they do so, the wall between their two alcoves begins to slide upwards, revealing a hidden passage. Entering, we make a slow descent down a spiraled sloping tunnel, before emerging in a burial chamber lined with the statues of the philosophers of old, each holding a Mora Jai box. In the center of the chamber, a sarcophagus. In the rear of the chamber, a painting depicting one of the Arindian kings of old, probably King Desolé IV, who was overthrown during the Fensurrection, the last king of 8. Alright, now let's open all of the Mora Jai boxes. I'm not going to talk during this, so you can listen to the clicks if you want to follow along, so just enjoy the music, and I'll see you in the next chapter. In Aries' court where the king now lays, on the sacred hour, that time-worn phrase, will a youth approach with empty arms, without gifts nor gold nor mannered charms. And in sky above a brilliant sign, a sullen cross as 5 stars align, a patient figure, a reckoning great. The black key is waiting with the last king of 8. Okay, I'll leave that to you to figure out before the next chapter, where I'm gonna solve it. Alright, so, what the riddle is telling us is that we need to be in that burial chamber, Aries' court, at 1:30 p.m. with nothing at all in our inventory. No gems, no keys, no coins, no tools, nothing. And we need to do this on a day when the Southern Cross constellation is in the sky. So what I've done here is started a new run, and since I, and likely you as well, spawn with a couple gems in my inventory, I draft any room that takes one of these gems first. And then I have to save the other one for the observatory itself, where I then click on the Southern Cross constellation. If you try this and you don't have the Southern Cross in the sky, then you're gonna have to keep gaining or losing stars each day until you do, because this puzzle can only be solved on a day where this constellation appears. Anyway, once that's done, I head back down to Aries' court and wait. You have plenty of time between the start of a run and the sacred hour of 1:30 p.m. It's over 41 minutes real time, so if you start your day, the Southern Cross is in the sky, but you have a bunch of items and you want to get rid of them, you should be able to. You might even be able to do an entire run before this, but just make sure you're down here when that clock strikes 1:30, because the plinth rises from the ground, revealing a clock with a lemniscate in the middle, the symbol for infinity, and, at least in the case of blueprints, death. We can see that the clock is currently set to, of course, 1:30, but what are we expected to do here? Well, there's a big hint on the side of this structure. Where have I seen this before? Oh, so this is finally where the Castle Cipher actually comes into play. 6 add 6 tor lor et. 109 plus 6, turn counterclockwise toward east. I think it's funny that lore here is actually a pun. Tor word east. Toward east. Anyway, I'll pause right now in order to give you a chance to solve it if you want. Alright, so we start the clock at 0109, making sure to push the red button to enter that. And then, adding 6, we turn the hands to 0115, push the button, and then, just like a safe, we turn the hands counterclockwise so that the minute hand is pointing directly to the word east. 1226. Pushing the button now, the entire clock swings open at its center, revealing a small compartment containing the Royal Key of Aries, a key crafted from infused Second Era gold and soot black onyx, adorned with the original insignia of the Aries family crest. Wow, but where are we supposed to now use this key? Well, as a hint from me to you, I can say memos. And during your many adventures inside this house, you may have discovered a way to draft interior rooms as outer rooms in the Western Yard. I wonder what happens if we try drafting a room outside that is associated with the old kingdom of Orinda Aries. If you draft the shrine outside and then offer the statue inside 13, 29, 45, 61, or 77 coins, you can gain the blessing of the monk for 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 days. The blessing of the monk, of course, allows you to end your day inside of any room inside, and then later the next day, draft that room outside. The room that we're looking for is actually the treasure trove. So you can use the king power, the banner of the king, in order to make black prints more common that day, which there are only a couple of. So you are all but guaranteed to pretty quickly into your run, draft the treasure trove. Because yes, of course the treasure trove is hiding more than just glittering gold trinkets and baubles. There is a more important treasure hiding in this room, but only if you draft it outside. So we call it a day inside, and the following day we should be able to draft it outside in the yard. And importantly, you're going to need the Key of Aries for this. You can either put it in the coat check like I did, or don't worry, you do not have to solve the chess puzzle any day you might want to access the Court of Aries. The tunnel will be open and you can just stroll right down there at any time and then just open the clock safe to access the key. Anyway, key in hand, we stroll through the western gate along the western path, where we then draft the treasure trove as the outer room. Entering, we find, instead of the usual locked trunk, a locked chest adorned with 3 Arindian sigil cores. Unlocking it with the Key of Aries reveals the true treasure of the trove, an Aegeran Royal Scepter. When you pick up Royal Scepter, choose a color. Floor plans of the chosen color are more common today. If you call it a day in a room matching the chosen color, Royal Scepter will not be lost at the end of the day. A permanent, portable king power. So now you can go ahead and change your chess puzzle power to any other one you might want, because this Royal Scepter will give you that same ability every day. You can still lose it if you walk into the Lost and Found, or you just don't end your day inside of a room that matches its color, but you can pick it up again any day you draft the treasure trove. If it's not already in your inventory, then you'll find it in here, which is really important because in addition to being a cool and extremely useful item, the Royal Scepter maybe also happens to be used in another secret puzzle. For now, I want to thank you guys all very much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I hope that this video is of use to you, or if you watch it for entertainment, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you enjoy them. Even though we are closing in on the sort of agreed upon end of blueprints, in my more experimental explorations of this game, I may have seen some hints that there could be some other things that the community has not yet solved. All of that is on the way. However, the next video focuses on